In a world covered by endless night, in a place where fear and despair thrive, in a time when all hope seems lost, two individuals arise to stand firm, resist the darkness, and light the beacons of hope to humanity. To the free people of the future, the courage of these two will mark them as heroes. To everyone else, they will simply be known as Nobodies.
Hello YouTube, thanks for tuning in to Nobodies again. I'm Dave, this is Brian.
Hello everyone.
Two Nobodies talking about nothing once again. And topic today is gun control. An age-old topic we seem to always come back to in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second Amendment is evil and all that jazz.
Or my personal favorite is that the Second Amendment was created in a time where they couldn't envision the damage that could be done by firearms, and so it's not applicable today.
Yeah, because none of them went through a war or anything, right?
Right. Anyway.
Well, the basis of the argument is, of course, the fact that those guns are, of course, not as effective at killing people as the weapons we do now. Ergo, it's an archaic rule that shouldn't be, attended to, because it's made for an older age with, technology that isn't matched up to what we have today. And okay, there's two angles we can approach this question, and we're gonna go through both. But first is just the principle of the matter. There are people out there, bad people, who want to kill you. They're called criminals. They don't obey laws. So having a law saying you can't own weapons isn't going to make them to stop owning weapons. And your law-abiding citizen, who is, law-abiding, is not going to have said guns. So when a criminal comes over and wants to kill that guy, he's now defenseless.
Yeah. And, when we were talking about it earlier, I get it. Liberals, I get it. You want world peace. We want no gun violence. People shouldn't have the capacity to just go into a theater or wherever, or school. It's terrible stuff. And this is terrible. It's terrible that these things happen. But, you need to stop looking at the device itself because, okay, somebody walks into a theater and shoots it up. A lot of people die. But then, something I brought up earlier, one guy closed himself in an airline cockpit and killed a bunch of people in a matter of seconds or minutes, whatever it was. It's the person. It's not necessarily the item. You can use anything. You could use a bomb. There's tons of things that can be used to kill lots of people in a short amount of time. So focusing on weapons, or specifically firearms, I think is a little short-sighted. It's tragic. I hate it. I really do. I see this stuff on the news, and it makes me sick. And it's like, people shouldn't be able to do that, but they do, and it's like...
Yeah, there are sociopaths out there, and for whatever reason, they're going to want to kill somebody, and if they really want to do that, if they're psychotic enough, they're going to find a way to do that. And even if, gun control did work, which, it's not going to, we'll get into that later, even if it did work, they're going to find other means to getting across what it is they want to do. I remember... I really need to look this up, but I think 1920s, there was an attack at a public school. Yes. Children were killed, and it wasn't a gun. It was a bomb. How can you stop that? Putting a law that says, you can't own a bomb is definitely not going to stop someone from making a bomb. You can find ingredients all sorts of ways on how to make a bomb, especially with the internet nowadays. You can just Google it.
It says it was in Michigan, 1920. Yeah, it blew up a school.
How many? 38 children and 6 adults died.
It's called the Bath Massacre. America's first school bombing.
Yeah. So, again, if there's a sociopath out there who wants to kill someone, trying to ban any possible weapon he could use is not going to stop it, because these guys are creative for, not to put a positive spin on it by using the word creative, but they're going to find a way to get the job done that they want to get done. So banning weapons is not necessarily the solution. And here's another alternative that we need to consider. I'm not for this, by the way, about what I'm going to say in the next 15 seconds, but just entertain the notion. I think it's in Georgia. There's a city where you have to own a firearm if you live in this town, I believe. But their crime rate is significantly down. You would think, if everyone owns a gun there, then it's going to be like the Wild Wild West. Well, it's not. So the idea that if you have a high concentration of weapons in a population, all of a sudden violence is going to skyrocket, well, no, there's no correlation there. Well, there is correlations in certain spots, yes, because you're going to need weapons, you're going to have shootings, but there's no causation involved. I think that just really proves the point right there. Again, people are always going to find ways to circumvent the law anyway. The best you can do is to make sure that the people who are, innocent and law-abiding have a means to defend themselves from those who are not. And having a gun-free zone is not going to solve that problem, because you're just telling the criminals here that, well, if you're going to enact violence and you do have violent weapons, there's going to be a bunch of defenseless people here.
Yeah, and I think you boil it down to the basic argument is when you ban guns, what you're doing is you're putting ink on paper and you're making a rule, but like you said, criminals are just not going to follow the rule. And I mean, even if there were no guns, let's just we wipe away and say let's just say there's no guns in America right now, people are still going to kill each other with something. So and you can, we have laws against murder. We have laws against murder right now. It's illegal to kill people. But people still get strangled and drugged and run over by cars. I mean, how many thousands of ways? And it's like, you're not going to get rid of that.
Yeah. And another thing we need to consider is, well, the idea is if we can have some sort of system in place to where, let's say we have a population here, maybe we can just take the entire country here, and we can get rid of all the guns there. Somehow, if we can magically do that, things are pretty much going to get fixed as far as violence is concerned. And I'm going to contend that's not that's going to happen because, well, don't take this the wrong way, I'm not being racist here. I'm talking about geography and politics here, not about race. But there is a problem with Mexico. It is being overrun by drug cartels who make money by selling contraband, especially here in North America, here in the United States. The main problem with gun violence is not with people who weren't criminals before going to a local gun store, buying a weapon, and then going off in a mass shooting. That does happen. Yes, I know it does happen, and I don't want to sound callous here, but if you take the entire population of America, this is a very rare incident when it happens. What's more common is when you have gang members, your typical thugs, who are enacting violence with weapons. And they're not legally, even under our current system, to buy weapons anyway. Where do they get it? Well, the same people who probably sell them drugs. I mean, black markets exist when you ban stuff. And I mean, you can just look at how effective the drug war is. We still have drugs in this country. Do you really think banning guns is going to make them go away? No, because there is a black market out there, and there's a lot of rich, powerful, evil people who have their power because they sell things that are illegal. Honestly, the only realistic way you could have a gun-free America is if, again, we could somehow magically get rid of all the guns away that are in America right now and establish a Berlin Wall between us and Mexico, because I'm sorry, but that area is just too overrun by people who deal with selling contraband, and that is a significant problem we have. People I've heard the argument made, how some other countries that having laws banning weapons, you can see a decrease in gun violence, or weapon violence, or whatever. And granted, I haven't seen those studies, but if they are true, I'll give them that. But again, we have to consider geopolitics here. How many of them are attached to a separate country, overrun by these evil people with power, and it's very easy for them to go from that country to the other country and sell weapons.
Yeah, in some countries, we know who they are. They sell weapons, that's what they do, and then they end up in third world nations, and then they just disappear. It's come on, we all know this happens. So people are gonna get what they want. Yeah. Hands down, and there's nothing you can do except for defend yourself. Yeah. That's it. And then You know, there's a lot of people that choose not to, that believe in you know, the Second Amendment, and that's cool too, you know? But I got one, and it's for a good measure. So, I don't know.
Yeah, the old cliche, guns don't kill people, kill people. Because even if they didn't have guns, they'd find some other way to do the job.
Kill people with your bare hands, man. Like, really. And, actually, I'd like to bring up Japan, because I get that a lot. You know, Japan, they have very, very, very strict gun control laws. And plus, Japan is just a series of islands, so it's really kind of hard to bring contraband in there. So, you know, gun deaths in Japan are virtually, like, pretty much nothing. I mean, I don't really know any statistics. I don't even know if I want to look it up. But the when you go onto their news sites and you look at the crime, I mean, all the time you look at people get thrown off of bridges and hacked to death with samurai swords and knives, so many knives. I just think goes to show you that, like I just said earlier, people are going to get what they want. And I feel like looking that up real quick. Just for shiggles. Let's see. Gunpolicy.org. That seems like a good one. This is complicated. I don't want to do that. Firearm related deaths. Wikipedia, kind of, you know, we don't want to use that as a super reliable source. Japan. Since when? Total calculated. But what year? 2011. Okay. Japan, 0.06
That's per 100,000 people.
per 100,000. Okay, so 2008 was 0, 1999 was 0.04. So yeah, pretty much nobody dies in Japan from a gun. But let me do it right
But
now.
again, that can't apply to America because, again, we have the contraband problem. I mean, they're not directly connected to, well, they have the Yakuza.
Yeah, they do.
So I guess that is a point to consider. But a country that small, I think, would be easier to manage and police compared to something as big as America, when there are already too many guns in the country as it is. I mean, is there any realistic way that we can get rid of all the guns in this country? There's just no way you can.
Well, especially with the internet now and 3D printing and all, you know, blueprints and stuff, you can make that stuff now. It's really easy. So, you know, back in the day, you used to have to be a smith, you know, or whatever. It took a lot of effort, and now you can print one out practically. So
I would be interested to see how many Japan's problem with drugs over there. Going back on my analogy.
They do have a drug problem.
They do?
Yeah. Student held for murder charged with trying to poison 2 former classmates. Blah, blah, blah. Kidnapped 12-year-old. Stabbed a girl. Argument on street. There was one where a guy got beaten to death over, like, ramen or something. Anyway. Not terribly important, but I just wanted to prove that people are going to kill people. Which is really sad. I don't want to do that.
But that's the world that we live in, and the best we can do is make sure those that don't deserve it have a means to defend themselves. And that's pretty much what my standpoint is I want to make sure people have a means to defend themselves, because the bad people out there are still going to find some ways to cause harm.
Yeah, and that was my point as well. I agree with you. Liberals, like I said, I want to agree with you. I wish for a world without guns and firearms and that, but it's just, let's be realistic. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that about sums it up, I think.
Yep. Well, thank you for tuning in today's episode. I'm pretty sure we get a lot of hate comments if people actually watch this.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Indeed. All right, so we hope to see you next time. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in.